Another juicy one. How do I stop feeling guilty when I take my kids to McDonald's? Do you take your kids to McDonald's?
No, because I don't care for McDonald's. I like Dairy Queen though. That is my fast food place of choice. What
Yeah.
about you?
Um, I also am not a huge fan personally of McDonald's, but fast food, yes, we do. We do make our rounds on the fast food, whether it's a Taco Bell or a Chipotle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my eating out, but my kids really do love McDonald's for sure.
Yeah. So to elaborate, this woman, she sent her question to me via DM on Instagram. And there was a story there, and it was that they're in a really busy season of life, and they hit the drive-through the night before, and she just can't stop thinking about it. She can't stop thinking that she's a bad mom for taking her kids to a fast food place. And like, this is really sad. Okay, so I had to let go of the belief that there are good and bad foods. I had to, because believing that, which it's what we're all taught. If you are close in age to me and Annie, if you grew up in the same culture that we did, fast food is bad. And I do think that there's a vibe, especially when my kids were little. I used to hang around in some different like mom group communities. There is a vibe. There is a lot of food shaming out
Yeah.
there. I remember getting shamed once for letting my kids drink chocolate milk. And yeah, it was like, I mean, it's brutal out there, and you just kind of absorb it. Okay. And so what's been important for me in my journey, health, weight loss, all of it, is to unpack the belief that there are good and bad foods. Okay. So pursuing what I call food neutrality. It's all just food. Okay.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I'm recommending that, for general health, you hit the McDonald's drive-through every single night of the week, right? But I mean, you could do that for the whole week, and over the course of your life, it probably will make no difference. But that's not what I'm saying. And that's where I think a lot of people get kind of lost and muddled in this kind of movement to neutralize food, bodies, choices. They're like, well, if it's not bad, then I'll do it all the time. No, you won't. Okay? You won't. In fact, getting rid of these labels on food actually opens you up to be able to objectively think through your choices,
Yeah.
right? And so, getting rid of the labels, and my core belief now, the belief that I chose it. I intentionally chose it. And I practice it. The only bad choice when it comes to food is not eating. Okay. Now, I've done that before. I remember we were on a holiday. Our plane was delayed. Our kids were little. We flew into this location, and it was late, and everything was closed, and our kids were hungry. And I remember we get in this rental car, and my husband saying, "We'll like stop at this fast food place." And I was like, "No, let's look for something better." And then, he's a dutiful husband. I remember him. He was like side-eyeing me like, okay, we'll drive a little further. And we like circled this, commercial block, and I'm looking for like a sandwich shop. I don't know what I was looking for, something healthier. Well, we drive around for 10 minutes. The kids are crying. My husband goes, "This is nuts." And he pulls into the drive-through. And, sometimes you have these moments where I'm like, I just was like, it's like, I'm like, the kids are crying. It's midnight. Like, what am I doing? Like, where are my priorities? And you just, I have lots of moments in my past of realizing how messed up my relationship with food was. So now my core belief is the only wrong choice is not eating, because, I've literally done it and I know it happens. Done it to my kids. And there are no bad foods. There's what's best for you in each moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Two things have helped me with this. And I also want to acknowledge that there might be some people watching this that feel some type of way or have some morality about fast food or even just dining out in general because of some beliefs that they have around like how food should be prepared. And I've talked about that as it relates to my disinterest in cooking. And a lot of women want to know how I've been able to just embrace that I don't like cooking and let go of any guilt or responsibility that I have around cooking. And that came with really digging into my beliefs around like how I think food should be prepared and what is my responsibility in that. And so it's possible that people feel bad about serving their kids fast food because they didn't make it, because they didn't put a lot of effort into it, because for what, it was prepared by someone else and, not done with love or whatever it is. So that might be contributing. And that was helpful in really just accepting that all choices are just fine choices. But also a really eye-opening aspect of looking at food more neutral included some education around the composition of specific foods. And we should maybe pull these out of the social media vault. I know we had a series of these long ago where we compared foods side by side. Like
I was just thinking of that social media post. Yeah.
Starbucks breakfast sandwich versus McDonald's breakfast sandwich. A lot of people will be like, Starbucks. Oh, sure. Like, great.
I'll choose Starbucks over McDonald's any day. That's a better choice.
Yeah. But when you compare the nutritional profiles side by side, they're pretty much the same.
They're pretty much the same. I actually think, now that I'm thinking back, the Starbucks breakfast sandwich had like double the sodium of the McDonald's breakfast sandwich. So it's like, oh, right? Like it goes to show how deep these beliefs are and how the health and wellness industry, health and wellness, let's call it, there's no objectivity. It's like whatever we want to paint with the brush today, we'll do. Like there is no objectivity.
Well, and it's sweeping generalizations. Anything from McDonald's is bad.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, a neutral way might say, look, what's good for me is context dependent. What's good for me when I am have just run a marathon is different than what's good for me when I'm having an average day with an average amount of movement. What's good for me when I'm stressed, tired, my kids are hungry, and we've been at soccer practice till 7 p.m. might be different on the nights that we're home and I have time to more intentionally put a meal together. And at the core of a lot of this is, what you were talking about, what this woman is talking about is what I call it the good factor. And it's so many women are consumed. I mean, this is like big time conditioning from when we were young. Is like, what do I do to be good? What does a good mom do? What does a good woman do? And it's like, hey, you get to decide. You're in charge of that. Not our culture, not our society, not your parents, not nosy Nancy down the street. You get to decide. And it's take control of that. Take control of your opinion of yourself. I decide I'm a good mom who takes her kids to Dairy Queen. That's what I decide.
Yeah.
So this person she gets to decide. She's in charge of that.
Yeah.
Does she think she's a good mom?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if nothing else, this question definitely says to me that she cares a lot about
she cares
her well-being and
yes.
about her kids' well-being. And that, that's something to feel good about. Like, this is just
absolutely.
a reflection of how much I care.
Yes.
And it is important to me that I take care of my kids.
And the amount of time that Addie and I took to answer this question, that is a reflection of how much we care about the women who follow us and ask us these questions. We care about your well-being, and I want you to feel good about yourself and your decisions.
That's why we can never just say yes or no.
Yes.
Or do this or that. It's always a more nuanced conversation because it is context dependent, person dependent. And, autonomy is one of our values. So
it is, yeah.
Yeah.